Stan Laurel. You ever wonder what could make someone miss the funeral of the person who was their other half for decades? What could keep a man from standing by the casket of his lifelong partner in laughter? Stick with me. This story about Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy is one of comedy, loyalty, and a kind of quiet heartbreak you don't see on screen. Stan Laurel? Stan grew up backstage. Literally. His childhood smelled of sawdust and grease paint. His parents ran a theater. And from an early age, Stan learned how a look, a pause, or a tiny gesture could tell a whole story. He studied the masters, worked in vaudeville, even understudied for Charlie Chaplin. Those years taught him one big thing. Comedy is timing, not noise. He moved into films and never stopped thinking like a director. Even when he wasn't the official writer or director, people at the studio knew the magic came from Stan's head. He'd tweak a pause until a scene landed. He chased perfection like a craftsperson. Off camera, life wasn't as neat. Stan married several times. Love seemed to drift in and out like a badly edited reel. He could be chaotic in relationships, sometimes letting personal turmoil spill into his work life. He drank at times, he worried about relevance, and the pressure to always be perfect gnawed at him. But beneath it all, Stan's loyalty to craft and to his partner was ironclad. He loved work, he loved making things right, and he loved Oliver. Oliver Hardy. Oliver's path was different. He started as a singer, drifted into stage work, then into 100 small film parts. He brought a big presence and an easy grin to everything he did. His comic persona, the proud, pompous, slightly baffled man, fit the screen like a glove. But behind the bowler hat was a man who struggled. Marriages that failed, money troubles, and habits that took a toll. He smoked, he ate poorly, and the physical demands of performing wore him down. By the late 1940 seconds and 1950 seconds, his health started to crack. When Hollywood paired Stan and Oliver officially in the late 1920 seconds, lightning struck. They balanced each other. Stan's childlike bewilderment against Oliver's proud exasperation. They didn't speak the same language as other comedians. They spoke the rhythm of two people who knew each other's breaths. That chemistry produced over 100 films, and a kind of global fame few acts ever achieve. The cuckoo song, a few notes, and people knew chaos and charm were coming. But the world changed. After World War II, audiences wanted faster, newer jokes. The slow, meticulous craft Stan loved felt old-fashioned. Their last film together was rough. Both men were tired, scripts were weak, and production problems made the final chapter feel like a slog instead of a curtain call. Still, their bond forged in tiny gestures, late edits, and endless rehearsals remained. Then, things got cruel. In the mid-1950 seconds, Oliver's health collapsed. He had a heart attack, he lost enormous weight, and the effort of fighting back left him as a very different man. Later, a massive stroke left him paralyzed and unable to speak. A man who lived by expression was suddenly trapped in silence. He died in August 1957, and the world mourned. So why didn't Stan go to the funeral? People guessed everything: falling out, pride, some old feud. Newspapers loved drama. Fans felt betrayed. But most of that guessing missed the real, quieter truth. When Oliver passed, Stan was not a strong man. Years of relentless work, diabetes, and a fragile heart had worn him thin. Those who knew him said the news broke him. He called, he wrote letters to Oliver's wife, and he grieved privately. But his doctors warned him. Travel and emotional strain could be dangerous. The funeral itself, with cameras and crowds, would have turned a day meant to honor Oliver into a spectacle about Stan's grief. He didn't want that. He knew what would happen if he showed up shaky. And sobbing, the story would shift away from the man being buried and toward the man left behind. So he stayed away. There's something almost poetic in that choice. Stan's absence wasn't coldness. It was protection of Oliver's memory and of himself. He chose to grieve in private, to keep the moment's focus on his friend. After the funeral, he continued to write, to answer fan mail, to live quietly among the photos and scripts that held their life's work. He refused offers to perform again. For him, Laurel and Hardy had always been a single thing. To perform without Oliver felt unthinkable. Did Stan ever regret not going? He never made a public spectacle about it. He said simply, when asked later, that Babe would understand. That nickname, the small, intimate word he used for Oliver, says everything. It wasn't a fracture. It was a loyalty that survived even final goodbyes. We like tidy endings. We want the two of them side by side at the very end. But life isn't tidy. Two men who built laughter out of tiny human failings deserved a private grief, not a headline. Stan's choice was messy and human, and, in a strange way, perfect for the life they built. An offstage silence that felt like the last beat of a carefully timed joke, long enough to land the feeling, heavy enough to hurt. In the years after Oliver's death, Stan kept living in the world they made. He wrote, he remembered, and he kept their art alive for the fans who still wrote. In 1961, the film world gave him an honorary award. He didn't go to that ceremony either. He preferred the quiet. He died in 1965. Still the man who measured comedy in breaths and pauses. So, what do you think? Was there more to Stan's absence than illness and discretion? Was it pride, pain, or a final act of respect? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what you believe. In the quiet years that followed, Stan Laurel became a ghost of the golden era. Not bitter, not broken, just still. Every morning, he would sit by the window of his small apartment in Santa Monica, answering letters from fans all over the world. People who'd grown up watching Laurel and Hardy wrote about how those films had carried them through wars, heartbreaks, and lonely nights. Stan replied to almost every one, his typewriter clacking like a heartbeat. "I'm just glad we made you smile," he'd write. That was his mission from the beginning, to make the world a little lighter, even if he carried the weight himself. Sometimes, visitors would drop by, young comedians, old friends, people who wanted to shake the hand of a legend. Stan always greeted them with humility. When asked if he ever missed the stage, he'd smile and say softly, "I'd be lost without him." There was no Laurel without Hardy, no laughter without the rhythm of two hearts in sync. In a way, Stan was still performing just in memory, in stories, in the laughter people carried from those black and white reels. He didn't need a camera anymore. The world already knew his face, his hat, his soft, puzzled stare. If this story moved you, hit like and subscribe for more tales like this. And hey, if you loved the bit about the nickname Babe, tell me your favorite Laurel and Hardy moment in the comments. Let's keep laughing, and let's remember the quiet parts of the people who made us laugh.